Hi, I'm going to be talking to you today about why you might want to buy a new or new to you camera, why you might not want to, and why I chose to get another camera. You might be looking for a new camera if there's something that you need, like larger images, which you also may just want larger images, but in some cases you might need larger images for a particular reason. Or if there's a feature of some kind that you want that you currently don't have, uh, such as a larger screen, some particular function, the ability to record video or higher resolution video, or if your camera is just a little bit old and starting to wear out. Now, by getting a new camera, I don't necessarily mean getting a brand new camera, just a new camera to you. Reasons you might not want to get a new camera is if your camera is not actually worn out, you just kind of want a new one. That might be a reason to not get one. If you're kind of concerned about having to pay for the new camera, which for many people is a concern. And another reason, actually a very big reason that people don't think of, is it will cut into your productivity. So if you actually want to use the camera, you have to think about, you may not be able to figure out how to use it perfectly as you want instantly. You're probably going to have to practice, learn a few things. It's not going to be exactly the same as what you have. Something that's specific to interchangeable lens cameras, the kind where you switch your lenses, is if you change the camera and it no longer is compatible with the lenses that you have, then you have to buy those too. Now, of course, that doesn't matter for any camera where the lens is attached to the camera, but that is another consideration for not buying a new camera or not buying a specific new camera, is because it isn't compatible with the lenses actually, or the other accessories that you already have, such as flashes or other equipment. Now, there are reasons of why you might want to purchase a truly new camera or a used camera that's just new to you. Now, the advantage of an actual new camera is it obviously has a warranty. It's, or at least it should have a warranty if you're purchasing a new camera. It's going to be supported by the manufacturer. It's going to have the latest features, so you're going to be up to date on what you have. Now, the reason for buying used is obviously used is a lot cheaper, but it's probably, you're not going to have as much support if you get any from the manufacturer. You're not going to have a manufacturer warranty. You might have a warranty from a reputable used seller of cameras, but you won't have access to a manufacturer's warranty. And if the accessories and things like that change, it might become more difficult to find ones that are compatible with the camera. If you do decide to buy something used, some sellers will offer a warranty for the camera, as I mentioned before. A warranty on a used camera is only as good as the seller that offers it, however, as they're almost always providing it themselves. Basically, the seller is promising you they will pay for a repair or replacement. Do you trust that seller? Refunds on used equipment are also dependent on how trustworthy the seller is. A random person on eBay who sells real great camera stuff might be perfectly willing to refund your purchase, or they might not. A refund policy is also only as trustworthy as the person or organization offering it. Make sure the seller provides clear and easy to understand information about the condition of used camera equipment before you buy. If you can't get that information, there's a reason. Even when you can get condition information, make sure you understand it. Some sellers will give cosmetic and operational condition, while others will tell you how it looks and leave you to figure out if it works or not. I prefer and recommend looking for sellers that only sell things that have been tested and are working, if that's possible. This way, even if there's a disagreement on condition, you know the item is supposed to be working. At one point, someone actually looked at it, and it did take a photo, and that you aren't buying a dead rock. I chose to get a used camera. Now, this camera did come with a warranty. It was from at least what appeared to be a reputable seller that was known by multiple other people. So at least there's a good chance that they will actually honor what they said, and in communications with them, they do appear to actually communicate and appear to discuss and honor things. So there is that too. And the reason that I chose used is because, well, I don't have unlimited money. Like, well, most of the people on the planet who don't have unlimited money. Of course, even if I was a billionaire, I could see myself looking at something going, that's $3,000. I don't think I really need that bad. I think I'll skip that for now. Now, the camera that I chose was a 50D. There were a few different reasons why I chose that. One of the reasons was because it wasn't incredibly expensive. And yes, I do know it is used. Obviously, I knew I was purchasing a used camera because they don't make them anymore, but they didn't make the one that I had before. Well, the one that I still have, but that was one of the reasons. It's kind of, I think, starting to wear out once the rubberized doors start falling off and pieces start getting stuck in the ports and holes and things like that. There's only a matter of time probably before it starts getting sticky, and then before things start actually not working on it. So at some point there was going to have to be a replacement, or else I would just have to, well, not have one. Now, the camera that I got, it does actually use the same batteries, which was good for me because I had multiple batteries for the other camera, so now I have even more batteries, which those can be kind of expensive if you're going to replace those. The 50D accepts all of the same lenses as the previous camera that I had, plus a few more lenses. The camera I already had is the Canon D60. Not the 60D, the D60. This camera came before the Digital Rebel. It is fairly old. It doesn't accept the lenses made for the sensor size. You can only use EF series lenses with the D60. Later models introduced the ability to use the EFS lenses. And there are also a few other reasons. It does take larger photos. I mean, I'm going from 6.3 to 15.1 megapixels, which is still not all that large. It is an upgrade for me, however. The larger images that I would receive with this upgrade would be more useful for me, including when photographing other art. When using the 6.3 megapixel camera, I noticed missing detail that you can find in higher resolution images. And I also thought, if I'm getting another camera, I might as well get one that doesn't have a tiny screen like the other one does, one that I can possibly actually see something on the screen. Now, I didn't think I was going to actually use live view, but I ended up actually trying it and being able to use it in some circumstances, so it turned out that was a feature that I could have used that I didn't even know I could have used. One of the other things that's nicer about the camera that I chose is that it holds more photos in the frame buffer. Now, the frame buffer is somewhere that the camera will put photos that you're taking until it has time to write it to the card, or whatever memory device you're using. Now, the old camera, its frame buffer was 8, so I could take 8 photos before it would run out of space, which is very possible if you're taking photos at higher speed. That's the other thing. The new camera is about twice as fast, at about 6.3 frames per second instead of 3.3. Now, those are the specifications. I haven't actually timed them, but it's noticeably faster. And yes, going from a frame buffer of 8, where I would actually run out of the ability to take shots, to going to a frame buffer of 60 at the highest speed does make a large difference. Also, the camera that I had before was so old that it did not actually recognize. Now, there's nothing wrong with the camera. It's just that was incredibly large for that time, but it didn't recognize anything bigger than a 2 gigabyte card, and these take CF cards, so it doesn't matter how big of a card you bought and put it in it, it would only be able to write to the first 2 gigabytes, which can be a problem too of having to continually buy cards, whereas newer cameras than that can have a lot more capability as far as that. There is probably a limit, but you're probably not going to commonly run into a limit with the cards that you can commonly purchase and would normally see available in both stores and online. I'm sure you could eventually find one, but you'd probably have to work a little bit hard to find a card that's so big that newer cameras won't be able to use the entire amount. Anyway, I wanted to stay with Canon to maximize the chances of lens compatibility, and because I'm more familiar with their digital cameras. I do miss the lack of video recording on the camera, but I didn't want to give up build quality or other features to stay in my price range. I hope what I've said today will help you be a more well-informed shopper, and that you will be more pleased with your purchasing decisions. I'd like to hear your tips and suggestions as well. Please share them in the comments.